I invite you to stand, but you can do it from where you are, but it definitely works better if you're standing. And if you do stand, I invite you to make sure you're really solid on the ground, and maybe your feet hips width apart or something, so that you're not going to slip anywhere. I've taken my shoes off, so I'm not going to slip, because if the speaker's slipping, then we're really in trouble. And just like you to start by, we're going to roll our neck, and then we're going to inhale on the way up, exhale on the way down. Just slowly. And reverse. One more. And then the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and up and forward, just nice and slow. Inhale. Exhale down. And reverse. Inhale, the shoulders up, forward, down, back. One more time. See if we can isolate that chest or torso. It's kind of a little bit odd, but see if you can rotate your chest. And it's an unusual one. We don't usually do. You got to get used to it. Rotate your hips. Ooh, get loose your hip. And really loosen up that spine. Get present in our bodies. And then I'm rotating my knees and putting my feet together, and then just circling my knees one direction, circling my knees the other direction. And our feet, got to get the whole body, right? So turning my toes down onto the ground and rotating my whole leg. So I'm sort of stretching the top of my foot out. A couple times in one direction, a couple times in the opposite direction. Switch feet, top of the foot down on the ground. A little hard to see there. Show you some leg. Rotate one direction, and then rotate the opposite direction. Stretch out that foot. Get the whole body stretched. And that's just to get ready so we don't hurt ourselves. Make sure that, see if you can get arm's length in all directions, that you're not going to knock over anything. And just swing. I'm going to start a little bit. Relax your arms. Just swing a little bit back and forth. And then let's swing a little faster. Your arms might swing out a little further. And a little faster. And stop. Close your eyes. Feel your body. Feel your breath. Feel your skin. Feel your heart. And you can open your eyes if you'd like. Sit back down if you'd like. I'm standing. I'm staying moving. Staying mobile. All right. Hopefully that brought us into our bodies a little bit. So obviously this is going to be highlights, drill down, brief as possible. And one of the things that made my research novel, because of course there's people been interested in arts for many years, decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years. And I forgot to set my timer. And pardon me, I'm just gonna set my timer. And for me to add something new to the conversation, it really required some new voices. And for me, what was compelling to me was neuroscience and fMRI, specifically functional magnetic resonance imaging, which means that, so there's a little example on the screen there, that we can see inside the body as it is functioning, see the tissues inside the body and what's going on with them. Wow, in real time, can do a task and watch what's going on inside the body while that task is being performed. And in my case, neuroscientists actually applied this research to researching the arts. Thank you so much for doing that, because there wouldn't be any concrete support for what the arts are without that. And what ended up happening is, not a big surprise, that philosophers were accurate for the last couple thousand years, and the neuroscience really just ended up supporting what they had all been saying. I will get into that. This is the quick version of my hypothesis, and I've asked a few wonderful people to help me out. Let me change my view so I can for sure see you. And give us some hand motions for each of these concepts. And so the sense to symbol, I think, was either Anna or Deborah. Did either of you have a motion for this? And so if we could unmute them or see them. Are you there? Anna or Deborah?
Say that again. You got kind of choppy there. Say that again.
Oh, hand motions. You got a hand motion for sense to symbol?
Mm-hmm.
Can I see you? Where are you? Oh, there's Anna. Where's Deborah? There you are. Awesome. Okay, so give us the hand motion for sense to symbol. This is it? Like this? Nanu, nanu kind of thing? Okay, awesome. Okay, so if everybody would do the hand motion and say sense to symbol, that is supposed to be helpful to get some concepts in there. So arts quickly translate sense to symbol input into mental symbols. Sense input into mental symbols. Okay, remember that. I'm going to need help remembering this symbol. Okay, and then Anna, you've got something for expertise, right? A hand motion.
Yes.
Okay, let me see you. Like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so if everybody would do the expertise motion, say the word expertise.
Expertise.
Expertise. And arts develop physical and comprehensive mental expertise. Expertise. And then Ryan, you got something for regulate? Awesome. Regulate. Thank you so much, Ryan. That's perfect. Okay, so we'll say regulate, regulate.
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 Arts change and regulate the body and mind. Okay, so we're gonna put that all together. Remember all those, you got it. You're gonna be tested later. Just kidding. So we got our sense to symbol. Get that up there. The arts essentialize sensory information into symbolic meaning to quickly comprehend complex concepts for immediate response and prolonged retention, while providing exercise to develop physical and mental expertise. And so that was this, right? Expertise. You got their expertise motion going. Let's shake it. And regulate body, mind states. So obviously that's the very complex version of the simple bullets, and we'll go back over those, but this whole slide just says the same thing, basically 3 different ways. Why I did this research is because I found doing my master's research that the arts were amazing for all kinds of things, health, learning, you name it. And at the same time, I saw that they were being removed from education, and it was totally a counter to all research. So I'm going to go to school and figure this out. So sense to symbol, you got your sense to symbol images. If you would say arts, give a sense to symbol. Sense to symbol. I didn't really work that one out, did I? Right. Sense to symbol. All right, so we think of eating as being like the most basic, one of the most basic human functions, but we actually moved around and had senses on our skin and heard and then saw long before we actually ate with our mouths. So the arts speak directly to those senses, and what I've found is an amplified expression of those senses. So the arts are really a part of that first language of the senses: hearing, seeing, moving, theater and dance, movement, hopefully hearing being music, and speaking being like singing. I'm changing paper here. That's one of the reasons why the arts are so influential, is because they're really working with us on our deep way that we're designed to originally function. All right, we got sense to symbol again. Sense to symbol. So, oh, I'm on the wrong slide. Sorry. This went so much more smoothly last night when nobody was watching. So one of the things that's really amazing to me about the arts is that through that functional magnetic resonance imaging, scientists have seen that the arts, when we perceive them, immediately go to that emotional side of ourselves, which philosophers have observed for a very long time, that we just can automatically react in a very visceral way, like listening to music. Have you ever cried or laughed or wanted to tap your foot or move your head or clap, right? Music, it moves us on that primal level. And same with images. I've been stopped by paintings or photographs when they've really spoken to me, when I've really connected with them. And been moved by many other, hopefully you all have had that experience. So the thing that's amazing about the arts is that they not only tap directly into that most emotional primal part of ourselves, they also, when we reflect on them, so after I've been grabbed by that image, I'm just going to stand there for a few moments and take it in. Then I'm using the most complex parts. We're all using the most complex parts of our brains, reflecting on the arts. So it's one of the few things that we can do where we're using both our most primal, emotional, visceral parts of ourselves and the most human, complex, and reflective parts of ourselves. We're rarely doing both of those things at the same time. Usually we're one or the other. So regulate, what was our regulate? Regulate, arts regulate, if you would mind saying arts regulate, arts regulate. So this gets into, again, that emotional connection that we have with arts. The arts will release hormones as though we're really having that experience in real life. Our bodies, our minds don't know the difference. So when we reflect back on a movie we saw or a photograph or a song, that memory is a part of us in the same way that any experience, external participated experience has been. We don't know the difference. So we're getting these in a single image or a song or a dance, we're getting the experience of thousands of people's experiences, all these different experiences that we can experience through a movie or a song that we would never experience in regular life, sitting on our couch, working on our computers, on Zoom, right? We're not going to get a chance to maybe fall in love every 5 seconds, or all of the different exciting things that these art experiences provide to us. So we're exercising these parts of our body because we're releasing hormones through our entire bodies. And at the same time, we're going through this experience in a very real way, the arts experience. And it can completely change our mood. right? We can, if you want to get really happy, go listen to the song Happy. If you like that kind of music, but it can really change how our internal state provides meditative states. And flags are an artistic image. They can create a sense of unity, nationalism, a sense of hope. All the things that images can create for us, right? Very motivating in the case of a flag, for instance. All right. One of the things that I find very striking about the arts is that ability to work comprehensively, not just across the brain, but across the entire body. The whole nervous system is activated. And in the case of dance and theater, our actual muscles are activated across our whole body. So one of the indicators of intelligence, these are the people that can use new information when it's necessary in new ways. So we're taking in information and able to then use it. We're not just memorizing information to put it on a test, but that we can actually apply it to complex new situations. And one of the indicators as you look through the fMRI machine of someone who's seen as being exhibiting those kinds of behaviors, intelligent behaviors, but there's lots of different kinds of intelligences, right? Somebody might be very socially intelligent, can put together a great party, but not be necessarily have a physical intelligence where they can't be an Olympian. We all have our different things. One of the things that when we're really good at something is that our whole brains, not entirely, but more of our brains are comprehensively active in concert, not in chaotic ways, but symbiotically working. Whereas people with cognitive challenges might be using more localized parts of their brain. And the arts, of course, activate that entire brain along with the entire nervous system. This is one of the ones that I was really excited about, this particular piece of research that is the proof that what people had thought that the arts are very evocative, especially music. For a long time, researchers said, well, music came later because they could see, oh, there's music's activated in the outer parts of the brain. But intuitively, philosophers, social scientists were seeing that the arts were activating sound, color, were activating parts of the way we behave on the most internal, deepest levels. And the fMRI, MRI corroborated that finally. To me, this is a really big deal. This is like front page news, and I never heard about it until just recently. One of the reasons it's a big deal is because it means that we should be everybody should be learning musical instruments, because it helps us become more articulate. It helps us to connect socially better, because we can tell through pitch the deeper meaning, the subtle emotional state of the other people around us, so we can then connect better. To me, that's really awesome stuff. One of the ways that the arts have been shown to be the most striking is in education. This study repeated worldwide over and over and over again, and I just do not get why American educational system doesn't pay attention. But especially for students who have economic challenges or social challenges where they might not have the kind of support at home that students with families where there's lots of people to help them, or lots of monetary resources so that they can get tutoring or those kinds of things. The arts, having just an arts program at the school, levels the playing field for those low socioeconomic students, so that they are performing at or better than their peers that have economic and social support. It also boosts, having an arts program boosts the performance of everyone, even the traditionally high performing students. So everybody has a chance to excel academically, because the arts are not just working on the content of what they're teaching. They're not just working on a dance movement or a play. They're working all over our entire nervous system, activating hormones. So they're making us feel happier with the release of the serotonin and dopamine, but they're also creating social connections, right? You can't have a concert, a band, without working together. That kind of social connection is very powerful. We like it, we need it. And there are many reasons why the arts are helping students to perform at higher levels. I'm a big proponent of using the arts at older ages, right? Why just use them for kindergartners? If they work so well to learn something like an alphabet that is so completely abstract, why not use it for the periodic table? So this is just the research that shows that the arts are really working comprehensively across the mind at the same level as very elite athletes and very elite executives, like the Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates level. The same amount of comprehensive activity in the mind is happening for amateur musicians, not just professional musicians. So they're getting the benefits even if they're not doing it as they're living. Same with dance. What I love about dance is it provides a 360-degree workout, whereas many workouts are in single planes, like up and down, back and forth, but we exist in a 360-degree world. And common injuries are doing very mundane things like twisting, bending, slipping, and dance eliminates many of those kinds of injuries because it is building coordination, balance, because it's building muscles and nerve connections from the feet to the head. It's not just building really great abs. It's building our whole bodies. And then you can teach concepts through dance and theater, any concept, right? Cell division, you know, we have emotions for that. Oh, I've forgotten to do our little expertise. What's our expertise symbol? Anybody know it? Oh yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Is this expertise? Yeah, expertise. So that's why I love theater and dance as well. So you can get content, they can have non-art content embedded in them, but they also then you're getting the benefits of the arts activity itself. And here's just another really great little bit of research about how countries that are performing at the top educationally, economically, considered the happiest countries in the world, include a lot of arts spending at the federal level, and also are including arts in their public schools. I find that very exciting. And then the last little fun facts that people who are in the elite, like scientists, politicians, athletes, all kinds of super successful millionaires, billionaires, have often studied arts. And in the case of members of Congress and presidents, 32% of presidents have participated in some kind of arts in their growing up, not just participated for a little bit, but have actually studied the arts. And then Congress at times up to 33%. And the average for regular folks and the general population is 4%. That means something to me. Supposedly anything over 30% is statistically significant. So we're right there at the significant level. So that's it. That's me. That's the arts.
Thanks, Gina. That was great. That was wonderful.
Thanks for participating.
Yeah, the experiential aspect of that was fantastic.
Little bit.
Yeah, I keep wanting to go to Mr. Spock, but that's where I just go naturally.
Yeah.
I go naturally.
It's tricky. She tricked us.
I know. I was like, oh no, I want to go here.
See, you got to move that body in a new way.
That's right. Let's go to the committee, Michael and Leslie, to kick it off before we come to me. Michael or Leslie, whichever of you would like to comment, discuss first.
Those Congress people who do art or don't, and can you break that down in terms of party?
You're bad, Leslie. You're bad, man.
I'm not sure about that. Wait, can somebody repeat the question for me? A comment?
Well, I wonder, I think I know which would be more of a fun party to be at, which would be
Right. Okay. I didn't hear it all.
no.
So I could offer some responses to the dissertation. Okay.
Oh, he's gonna go that way. Okay.
All right. So Gene, I think this is a super successful project. And I would say that the synthesis of transdisciplinarity, critical aesthetics, the sort of, using neuroscience through scientific rationalism, that is very effective.
Great.
And one of the things that transdisciplinary studies try to achieve is that by a kind of creative and disciplined synthesis of disciplines, a kind of higher order of understanding subject matter emerges. And Lonergan talks about this in Method and Theology, and so on. And Zach talks about this, Zach Stein.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it rarely happens, but I actually think that your study actually creates a different feel and space about art engagement. I think that the actual results of your dissertation actually achieve that. And I think it's really not common. So that's the first thing I would say to you. The second is that you're dealing with you're in a way is a very complicated, not complicated use of the neuroscience, but in relationship to a pre-existing literature of claims about the arts. And the neuroscience seems to allow you to gather and integrate those claims and make scientific sense of them. And I think the three assertions really are very potent. And, for example, like art and experience, you get that in Dewey, you get that in Lonergan, but the way you're articulating is more nuanced because you've synthesized a number of disciplines through neuroscience. So that's the second piece. A third is you deal with different media, which I think is great. Like dance does this, music is that, video games is that. I think that's very effective. My steeping is in sort of, number of disciplines. One of these is the European philosophical tradition, continental philosophy. And the modern period puts so much emphasis on art, like on the one hand, and you're articulating this in a very social scientific way, that in America, the arts don't count for very much, right? And this is actually something, that goes back into the, last 200 something years, the modern period, in which there was this differentiation of social systems, right? Max Weber called this a differentiation of value spheres. In Kantian philosophy, the mental aspect was to have these three domains of sort of science, ethics, and aesthetics and art. The thing is, they never were balanced. That the technical scientific really became predominant in the culture, and the moral, and especially the aesthetic and the arts, really were downplayed. And this was a problem for, Peirce. Peirce recognized this in the 19th century in America. And so I find that your research is not just echoing that, but it's making it contemporary and, social scientific. And then on the other hand, you're demonstrating through the neuroscience and the literature that this is a stupid thing to do because the arts actually have such powerful effects upon people that education really needs to take notice of this and give them a kind of Deweyan centrality, if we talk about Dewey. And, so this fleshes out Schiller, the aesthetic lectures on man, who said the aesthetic experience of art integrates us, but this is like all the details of how it does with media. So I just think this resonates with the philosophical, critical, theoretical traditions, fleshes it out in a contemporary way, and ends up being really a kind of new space of the feel of what art engagement looks like. And I couldn't be more sincere in saying that.
Wow. That's big. Like, for those of you who do not know Michael Schwartz, Dr. Michael Schwartz, this dude is deep. Like, I needed literally to have a dictionary out to read his papers. Like, I'm going to get weepy. You are a true academic intellectual. For you to say, and you're an expert on the arts, for you to say anything complimentary, like, you were the one that I was like, I need to make sure that I'm speaking to Michael Schwartz. Because for you to say that I've done anything original.
It is, and it's a real transdisciplinary space. It's really hard to achieve that in practice. And the last thing is about, I would recommend you publish this, but I don't know where to publish it. I want to say that.
Right, that's what I wanted to ask Leslie. He said
because the reason is that I really appreciate the integration of text and sort of, I don't know, digital media, right? And, I've seen, like, and when I do certain business work, people will publish books online like that, where you go to a link and so on.
Right.
But I think you're ahead of the curve in terms of academics for that kind of contemporary book structure. So I don't know, maybe other people know more about that, but I would love to see this in print. So.
Very cool. Well, it's really a tribute to you three, to my committee and CIIS, to allow me to do something like embed music and videos into a dissertation. I know that that's pretty edgy.
If you can get that past the library, and you're good.
Yeah, now I just have to make sure it gets through.
That's the only problem I've had with that. A couple of suggestions. If you were to stretch this down to article length, I'd love to have a copy of it for the Journal of Conscious Evolution, which I'm the editor, as you know. Of course, it's not an elite journal or anything. It's just, there's a lot of very creative stuff in there by weird people like Macaulay and God knows who else, some of my own stuff. But in terms of publishing it as a book, there's a kind of a obscure publishing sector in museum bookstores, or just museum stores. Like, I don't know, where do you live? I used to go to when I was in San Francisco, always belonged to the Museum of Modern Art, and I spent more time in the shop there than I did anywhere else. So much interesting stuff. Man. Yeah, and these stores carry a lot of art books that aren't carried other places. So I can't tell you how to connect with that, but with the internet, what it is, I'm sure you can do it. So I think you've got material that might be publishable in that venue, in that general area.
Thank you.
Of course, that doesn't exclude other books. What you want to do is find books that look as much like yours as you can find, and then contact the publishers. That's the way that works.
Okay, great.
I have an agent or two that I could probably drum up if you have a piece of work for him to look at, but you need to get this in a form that will look like a book.
Right.
No, you never know. My son, transgender son, just got a contract for something like $40,000 for a graphic history of transgender.
Well, yeah, but his
So
is
if you
really,
hit the right market at the
yeah, but
right
his is
time,
spot on. His
you
is
may
graphic
not get
novel.
40,000, but
Yeah,
if you
his
can,
is, his is gonna rock
good
the
work.
world
I've looked at your
every time.
website. I think you've got the touch to produce something that will have appeal. And
Thank you.
yeah,
All right, so Gina, I'm gonna come at you with rapid fire questions. No, I'm just kidding. They're not gonna be rapid fire. I love what you've done, both in the dissertation, the interactivity of it, and in the presentation. Now, over the years, as you've developed this, we've talked about many different aspects of the existential nature of art and the connection between art and survival. So I recall us talking about various expressions in nature that could be art, like a bird building a nest, a beaver building a dam. So there's this connection between arts and evolution and survival. And it seems
Yeah.
like you're also hitting on that with your main points in what you're saying, that the arts do and why they exist for us, and how education can bring these out. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to that connection between what you're saying and human survival, because it seems like
Oh, yeah.
applying what you're saying is an aspect of, we need this to survive
Right.
as individuals, species today.
Right. Right. Well, one of the things in terms of us surviving into the future is that certainly we can all agree there's some incredibly major, like, humanity threatening issues at play right now. And to survive that, we need to come up with totally new ways of looking at things that we have never come into our consciousness before. We need to come at this from a whole new way. And what I've found is that the arts develop this completely new way of looking at things. They are collaborative. We need to be collaborative to thriving into the future. And we need to be creative and using connections that we have never come up with before. That's like into the future. From the historical part, like ancient human beings, how I see it happening, how other researchers have seen it happening, is things like we need to eat high calorie foods because we're walking all over the forests to survive back in ancient times. So I need high calorie foods, and those high calorie foods tend to be bright fruits. So we have these amazing color receptors now, so we can pick out a berry out of a field in less than a second, right? So that's the survival part from the past. Also, there's a bunch of social stuff now, really great recent research about that we have such sensitive color reception, partly for social reasons, like that we can tell subtle changes in the blushing and coloration of our skin to notice health in the other person. If that person looks sickly, like maybe I shouldn't hang out with them, just like on a basic survival level. And then hopefully throughout the presentation, I touched on how that all then connects to the going on into the future complex thought, right? So it's this primal level that the arts have come from and that have gone into their highest expression or whatever of our senses, and then connect us to really complex thinking.
That's fascinating. Yeah, no, that's I've been thinking about that for a while. So thank you for that. It was wonderful. I was also hoping that you could address your process and how you created this, because there are many, many different aspects of this. And there was, there's the creative artistic aspect, the research, your meditation practice, all of this coming together into a synthesis that's sort of a transcendental type of thing, where it's not just transdisciplinary, but it's coming from a lot of different places and into something new.
Cool.
Yeah, so I was hoping maybe you could address that.
Well, just like total chaos. That's my process. I'm pretty organized. I'm very organized. I write down things. Like our dad was a very creative artist, and he taught me just always have around a notepad. So I always put information in there. So long before I even got into the program, the PhD program at CIIS, I was already writing down like, what do I think the arts are, like, and so that kind of created an outline, which you guys saw in my proposal, which was very discipline oriented, like psychology and all of that. And that was, you can really see kind of my organizational process there. And then I realized that I come, it's transcends isolated disciplinary concepts of like history, and because the arts are going all over the place. They're involved in history, they're involved in contemporary life, they're involved in our biology, they're involved in so many different aspects. So I tried to, when I was coming up with my hypothesis, like, okay, what are the key words here? I wish I could say I use like a Venn diagram or something, but I don't. I'm very I guess traditional in that I write it out. I have my little like hierarchical outline, write it, rewrite it.
Yeah, that interests me, because it seems like it's there's this tremendous holistic quality to it in terms of how it came together. Before we go to any questions or comments from our group of supporters, Leslie or Michael, do you have any further questions or comments before we go to the other folks?
Well, I had one quick or two comments. As an old information theorist, when that was all the fashion back in the 70s, I'm fascinated by the idea, which I think is perfectly correct, that art somehow consolidates or condenses, or a movie or a painting. You can think of a great painting like name a couple. I'm having trouble thinking of the Primavera, for example.
Okay.
Geez, there's so much information in there. Or what's the greatest protest work that Picasso did? Guernica. I mean, whoa, it all comes in one picture. We used to talk about, when we were trying to calculate the number of bits going on in the nerve cells of animals, and some still do, that you can calculate how much information the nervous system of a crayfish uses when it walks around. But then if you put the shoe on the other foot and you calculate how much information it takes to describe it, it's phenomenally larger. Nobody's quite figured that out. But I enjoyed the conversation and enjoyed the discussion between you and Chip. And one of the things it reminded me of, just the loose association, was the portrait of the artist as a young man, where James Joyce talks about bringing in a snow shovel and hanging it on the wall. And is it a work of art? Or, of course, my favorite is actually a book by Dylan Thomas called A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Dog, which I read faithfully in graduate school, one chapter or whatever, every night before I went to bed. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's very good. And I will cede to other speakers.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, I would just
Michael?
echo again, the research you've done echoes what prior philosophers and theorists. So what Leslie's saying about density, the gathering of information, Nelson Goodman, who was a major 20th century analytic philosopher, wrote a famous book called The Languages of Art. And he talked about art having this distinctiveness as a symbol of its profound repleteness or fullness of significance. So it's pointing that way. So, I mean, I just will echo that this research really fleshes out and refines many of the major claims in the tradition. It's really super.
Well, Michael, I wanted to compliment you on working in Charles Peirce, one of my favorite characters from history. I have a whole bookshelf of books by and about him, because he's such a fascinating character in and of himself.
Mhm.
I could tell you stories about he and his dear friend, what's his name, the great psychologist, James,
Yeah.
William James. Yeah, I won't go into that, but it's greatly tempting to do. Like we used to have a psychologist at Saybrook who was a dear friend, and now he's gone on to a better world. But he would come to San Francisco every 3 or 4 months, and we'd get together for dinner. Eugene Taylor, and I would trick him by saying something about Peirce, and then off he would go, and I would get this lecture, and it was wonderful. One day we walked out of the Blue Plate Cafe. I don't know where it was in San Francisco. This guy walked up and he said, "Gentlemen, I have never enjoyed myself so much as listening to you talk over there at the next table." And he's just such an interesting character. Anyway, enough of that, but thank you with all of you.
All right, so yeah, I know, right? Everyone's taking notes on this. Before the committee adjourns to the secret room, everyone here, thank you so much for being here supporting Gina. But any questions or comments about her research or what we've been discussing before we adjourn for our deliberations?
I agree with the importance of Gina's research. I'm working with a lot of adult students in college. I'm teaching teachers how to teach through the arts, through elementary school, how to develop lesson plans. And they get real surprised when they learn that art has anything to do with math or engineering. And they're like, what? And when I tell them about the depth of a song, they go, what does music have to do with art? And it's like, it just surprises me that they don't understand the cognitive, layers that art helps. So if you publish this, I know a lot of teachers who are trying to learn the significance of art will be reading this, especially if you develop it like a workbook where you challenge them. Oh my God. So this is a great research topic that you are, because somehow there was a art, for lack of a better word, fart somewhere, and they forgot that how deep the art really is within us and everything. So thank you.
Well, there's this wonderful statistical correlation, positive correlation between mathematical ability and music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why Einstein was a violinist, for example, and hung out with professional violinists.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in a high school, my high school teacher, art teacher, would go look at the math scores to recruit people for the orchestra.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. They're the
He's doing it in
ones.
reverse.
Yeah.
I would think it would be the math people recruiting the musicians.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I ever would have gotten to the choir if they had that test for that. Go ahead, Gina.
It works the same for dance too, because music's incorporated into dance. So the dancers have that like number awareness, language awareness thing for the same reasons.
Wonderful. Any other questions or comments for Gina before we adjourn for a few minutes?
Tabin, your uncle?
Hey, oh.
Texas. I wanted to tell you how important this is. That I'm a retired physical therapist, and I've worked in rehab with stroke and head injury patients for years. And we actually used music therapy in our gait training all the time. When you're trying to reestablish the rhythm of gait, we would even have them play a drum while the therapist played a guitar. And the music is one of the best stimuluses to try to get those neurons operating again. And that's why, sadly, the federal government has cut out a lot of the music therapy within rehab. But it's a really important field. We used it all the time until all of a sudden they disappeared and we go, what happened? And but we still tried to use it ourselves as much as we could. But it's a really important field for rehabilitation. That music is. We also do DJ at this Down Home Ranch, which is for people with IDD. And when you turn the music on, we had a man who took two people to walk, but when I cranked the music up, he could dance. It was like, wow, this guy can't hardly walk, but he can dance. And it was just amazing. And this research is really, really thrilling. I think you're doing a really good job.
Thank you so much. I thought about you a lot when I was doing the neuroscience fMRI. I was like, okay, should I ask Tatman to talk about fMRI? Because I know he knows all about it. And I was like, it'll take too long and I don't want to put you on the spot, but thank you. And I wanted to touch on health, the healing aspects of the arts and didn't get there. So I really appreciate you bringing that in because it's used in many fields and you touched on almost all of them. It's really cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Myra, could you send us to the magic room, please? I was calling it the Phantom Zone, but I'm going to call it the magic room.
So it'll be just a minute.
Okay, thank you.
We can still talk while they're.
Oh, please yes, this is informal. Yeah, you just, this will be our informal few minutes here before we get transported.
Chit chat time.
Yeah.
Cindy, did you want to say something? I saw you. I don't know if you can now.
Yeah, I actually did. I am at work, but I just wanted to say that was absolutely amazing. I learned a lot.
Wow.
Your delivery was awesome. Like I felt it here in my heart. You brought tears to my eyes. I'm just like, I'm so proud of you, Gina.
Thank you so much.
And I'm so glad that I got to be a part of this and support you. And I just love you so much. And I hope somebody recorded that because I want to watch it again while I'm not at work. So thank you. It's nice to meet everybody.
Thanks, Cindy. Oh, that's awesome. Very cool.
Hi, Gina. So I normally don't ask questions, but I was really fascinated by your research. And I'm kind of curious, I guess, do you have any plans for the future? Like, I'm curious, do you plan to infiltrate, the school systems in any way with your research?
That is definitely a major direction that, like, at the end of the dissertation, it actually says that there's like a call for teachers programs and administrative programs. I actually have like a whole curriculum laid out. Like, this is how you can teach teachers how to teach with art. And it's something that I might get to eventually, but it sounds like a slog. It sounds like, and I thought actually, a place like CIIS, maybe they would want to do it, but it takes people who are really driven and committed and who, a teaching program is no joke. Like there's all these special certifications and you have to meet additional certifications. And so it's definitely, I'm hoping that just by talking about it, just by getting people into it, just by, more and more people realizing like, wow, the arts, using the arts, we don't just have to use them for kindergartners. This is important stuff that we can use in business meetings. And I'm hoping that will just, somebody else will take that baton, but it is something that I have seriously thought about. And maybe one day, it'll be something that I do. Yeah. Thanks, Myra.
All right. We have beamed back.
Well, that was fast.
With the results show. Well, yeah, it was. And I am very happy to congratulate you with very unanimous approval, 3 yeses. So congratulations, Gina. You've done magnificent work. You should really be proud of this fantastic achievement. And it's been such an honor to work with you over these last few years. It's been a really wonderful journey. So congratulations.
You're amazing. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you, committee. And all the people who showed up. It's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you to Leslie and Michael. Thank you. To
Congratulations
Myra.
to you, Gina.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone for coming today. It was wonderful to have everyone here to support Gina. And again, Myra, thank you for the technical support. Gina, major victory. Congratulations again. And I will talk to you soon. Yes, round of applause, and live long and prosper. All right, take care. Talk to you
That's
soon.
right.
Thank
And
you
this one,
all.
and this one.
All right.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.
So good to see you all.
Bye.
Thank you so much for coming, showing up. That's really just huge, huge, all of you who came, and thanks for your help, Ryan. Love you.
Bye.
It's so good to see you. Love you. Kaluna Nancy. Love you. Good to see you, Nancy.
Congratulations, Gina.
Thank you so much. It's
So proud of
really sweet of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Driving, but bye to you as well, Gina. It's good to be able to
Thank you,
listen.
Kay. Oh, thank you. Good to see you. I love you.
Hi, Kay.
Congratulations, Gina. Love you.
Love to you all.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Yay, I didn't see you. I love you. Thank you for being here. Oh. Wow, very cool.
Okay, Gina, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the session.
Thank you, my love.
Congratulations, and we'll be in touch.
All right, great.